Hello everyone and welcome back. We're on our second video, and I think there's only going to be two. There should be only two. Uh, we're going to talk about a couple different things to finish up, and the first one is going to be PHET, P-H-E-T. And it's an interactive simulation website, and if I just type in P-H-E-T, it'll bring up the first thing on Google will be this website. It'll be PHET, P-H-E-T. It's the first one. You click on it, it'll bring you here. To get to the actual simulations, you have to click Play with Simulation. So I click on that button, and it gives a whole broad range of different things that I can do. Now, there is sort of a catch. Most of these simulations use Java, and Java doesn't really work on iPads. So they're starting to convert a lot of their simulations, the really good ones, to HTML5, which just works on iPad. And, well, it works on other things too, but it works on iPad as well. So these are a couple examples of the HTML5 ones. Let's see, what do we want to learn about? Color vision. So let's click on one of the simulations. Then I just click on it again to hit play. And it starts, which is really cool. If I didn't do the HTML5 one, I would have to download it or just run it. And sometimes that causes problems with computers at school. But for the most part, they've worked, at least at DGF. So with this, I have two different options, obviously. These simulations are just really awesome. They're very simple to use. It's just kind of click and go. So even my sixth graders, they can understand these very easily. So like with this one, I would give the students a kind of a run through of all the different buttons that they can push or things that they can do. So I can add a filter if I want. I can change the way that they see it, change the bulb color and turn it on and off. I can see the actual color that's coming through. So there's really a basic understanding that I would give them. And then I would give them either a worksheet or a quiz at the end to see what they've learned and to kind of give them a goal to go through. Because otherwise they might get a little bit confused or just not sure what to do, that sort of thing. But I can go through and I can do all kinds of different things, and with all these different colors of light, you would think if I mix blue, green, and red together, I would get black, but no, it's light, so it's white. And that blows their mind, which is kind of cool. Um, anyway, so that's one simulation, and if we go back actually to this one, but this is before we clicked on the play button, we can go down to 4 teachers that's below it, and it has worksheets that teachers have already created here for you. So it even says what level it's for. So this is undergrad intro, and then it goes down to high school. Now I've used the ones that are for undergrad level, and I just cut out certain things that are obviously way above 6th grade level, but it at least gives me a starting point, and it's a lot easier than starting from scratch. So this is just one example. I mean, there are so many other topics that you can go through. If you're doing math, I mean, there's the area builder. I mean, that's a good one. Uh, all kinds of let's see, and just there's some kind of just simple ones too. John Travolta is kind of funny because it's talking about static electricity, and if I walk across the floor with socks on and it's on a carpet floor, I'll steal those electrons, and eventually they'll want to escape to the doorknob and he gets a shock. So I don't know, it's kind of stupid, but I mean, it shows what happens, and it's pretty simple. Um, so there's that. But the other ones, if I go to the ones that aren't HTML5, I actually have to use a different computer for it. I can go through physics, biology, chemistry, all these different ones. There are so many different simulations, and they're great because in schools in general, obviously we don't have an infinite budget, and this allows us to go beyond what our budget allows and do so many different things um, beyond that. So it's kind of cool. And uh, when we talk about atoms and stuff, that this atom builder was so helpful. The kids use this to help make their model for it. So they made it on here first, and they used this diagram as their basis to make make their atom. So if it made sense on here, or if it worked on here, and everything was stable and all that good stuff, and then they knew that that was correct. So, I mean, that was very useful. And there's even a game part over here where they can go through and uh, they have to figure out what element it is, and it times them, and they could compete. And it was kind of fun to just throw up the top score up on the board, and it didn't really matter, but they liked it. So, that I guess that's what matters. So yeah, uh, really great website, fet.colorado.edu. You just put in FET and it'll pop up. I use it probably 2 or 3 times a month, depending on the unit. When we talk about electricity, we use it a lot because uh, we have the circuit builder. That's this one, and you have to have Java for that one. So I don't have that on my computer for some reason. But that one's pretty cool. It allows them to do quite a bit of figuring out things beforehand before we actually play with the actual circuits and stuff. And they can like start batteries on fire and whatnot. So yeah, this is one I would highly suggest you check out. A huge resource, and most of the work's already done for you, which, that's a good thing. So this is one, and what I'd really like you to do is to check it out and just spend about 15 to 20 minutes, just like with Little Alchemy. Take your time and go through to just see what there is available for you, if there is something that you might be interested in. So you would go to fet.com up in the browser, and it's the first one that shows up in Google. So just click through if you want to try physics or math or um, any of these things. It's amazing how helpful they can really be with any of them. So go ahead and pause the video, and we'll check out this last one after that. Alright, so the last thing that we're going to talk about is this thing called Lure of the Labyrinth. And there's a couple different games that are like this out there, where you essentially have a character and you go around and you solve problems and you get um, like points or coins or neurons or something like that to help you get further on in the game. But you have to solve these puzzles, and these puzzles get more challenging as you go through. This is one of those games, and I created an account on this one. With this one, you are a boy or a girl, and you have a pet, and you get to pick the pet. And your pet seems to have fallen down a drain or something, and goes into this weird world, the labyrinth, where monsters live like normal people, and they have jobs and stuff. Anyway, so you're trying to hide as one of them, and so my little character guy here, I've got a pretty nice mask. But anyway, I have to figure out how to get out of this room. And uh, one of the games I know some of the kids were playing this last year was Escape the Room. And So it is something they like to do, and it's just kind of point and click and see where I can go. So obviously I can go see it, and I pick something up. I have an ID badge now. Awesome. Uh, so you have to figure out what the problem is, and then you get to these puzzles. And the puzzles are either math-based or science-based, so it's like proportions or ratios or any of these other things. Uh, and it's formed into a game. And then afterward, you can talk about them or reference them or whatever when you're covering them in the classroom. So they would start with this, and then you would address whatever that is in the classroom, or vice versa, even. But it'd probably be more interesting to have them play the game first and be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that. Now I understand," and then they can go back and do it in the game. Uh, and each level it gets more difficult as they go. So they might have a ratio question at one point, and it's easy for them. But then the next time they have to come around and do the task again, it gets more difficult. So anyway, it's a very fun game because it builds on itself, and it keeps the score for them, and they can work as a team if you set it up that way, or they can work together to complete these tasks. Uh, so these kind of games are so beneficial for the students, and I definitely suggest uh, putting games into your curriculum because uh, it is what they're interested in. And if you can hide a lesson inside a game, then uh, I think you've won half the battle because they'll be interested in it. So this is the last one I'll talk about. But if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll have all my information up on the Metro Tech Camp or whatever it's called now, and you can contact me there if you want more information. But yeah, short but sweet. Thanks for coming.